All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Brubaker, and this is Career Search Lunch and Learn. And welcome to the group you didn't really want to belong to. We know you don't really want to be here, but you're here for networking and support, for job search tips, for whatever resources we can provide you. And the reason that I said this is a group you don't want to belong to is because we know that you'd rather be in that next forever job. And our goal is to help give you that support so that you can move on. We're doing this as a labor of love. It's our way of giving back. At least I'm speaking for me, and I know that for Ken and Sue, it's the same thing. We're here to give you that research and that support and supporting each other, not just yourselves. So we want to make sure that you're paying it forward as much as we're paying it forward to you. As I said, it's a networking group. So one of the things that I encourage is not only to put information in the chat, but also if you're seeing people who are part of the group who are sending you a connection request, please connect, even without a connection message, because many of us don't have more than 5 connection messages a month, and we'd like to be able to grow our networks and support each other, okay, even without using that connection message if possible. Very interactive group. If you're new to the group, please put new all in caps in the chat. We'll try and get a way of you introducing yourself. If you have questions, please put question all in caps in the chat. And because we want to make sure that these sessions really work for you, if you have ideas for future sessions or speakers, please put the word either idea or speaker in the chat, all in caps, so that we can find that as well. In fact, we've got our roundtable discussion on the 18th, 19th, okay, was actually suggested by Pam Lefkowitz. So it's one of those things we're truly trying to make sure that these are working for you. Now, I told you all that I don't really use this as a platform for selling, so this is my only sales pitch, is that I am a career coach, and I've been doing this career transitions coaching now for the past 8 years. The information that I provide you both here and in my coaching is based on over 20 years worth of experience in recruiting, managing recruiters, being an internal and an external recruiter, being a hiring manager and an HR business partner, and then doing this for 8 years. For those of you who would like to work with me, I would love that. And I see several people I am working with. I'm going to put that information in the chat. It's another way of giving you that added support. Now I'm going to that's my only sales pitch. Okay. I'm going to add Ken and Sue up here and see whether they would like to introduce themselves as well.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Kenneth Lang here from Northern New Jersey. I work at Leac Harrison. I was a branding specialist in the past. On Monday, I'm going to be a career coach or a career counselor, which basically means I'll be doing one-on-one, one-on-one with specific people, not so much resume reviews, but specific to what they need. And so there'll be a lot of interesting things. I'm actually in training this week about, learning how to do that. Sadly, it's a really bad job market now. Today, the latest with Amazon, Paramount Plus, and I
Mhm.
did a post today pretty much to kind of make some suggestions. I'm a big believer in taking care of yourself and empathy, and there'll be other posts this week about what hiring managers can do or what they shouldn't be doing. And Linda, myself,
Mhm.
and Sue and others, we're actually doing a career coach. We have a monthly session to discuss how we can best support job seekers. And there's some great feedback there. So I'm happy to be here. And I'll be seeing a lot of you in New York, hopefully in December. We're figuring out the date. Um, and actually, I'm going to be seeing Virginia Franco in New York City the week after next. Looking forward to that too. First time we've ever met. So Sue, take it away.
Thanks, Ken. I love being here because even though you don't love being here, we're learning from you as well as giving you today answering and talking about scaries and ghosts. And I can't even remember the whole title. Ken, I'm excited about your new position. I wondered if you were moving into something like that from some of the things you said. That's great.
Hmm.
And the more that we hear from you, kind of like the job numbers aren't settled until the government announces them, but we all hear them every day, so we know where things are job-wise. When we hear from you about issues, you have a chance to help contribute while you're also helping us help you find answers to what you can do in this job
Well,
situation.
hearing from job seekers is really important. So I
Yeah,
understand what they're going through now. I can speak
yeah,
to what I went through. And I know one of the things we get pushback is there's too much AI in what
yeah,
we're doing out there. And I
yeah,
think they're trying to do a launch of AI stuff for people who are just starting. And we've pushed back in our group to say this is just very counterintuitive. You need
yeah,
people to speak with people. Where it
good.
goes, I'm not sure, but that's why I'm doing a transition to another part of the company. I don't want to be an AI person. I mean, not as a first step.
Yeah.
No, I agree. That's good to hear.
So I just want to remind people I bring the pom poms. And you know what? I just realized I don't have enough pom poms. I don't have orange to celebrate Halloween. I don't know. It's become apparently the biggest holiday that's non denominational, is what I understand. I don't have pink either. So I guess I can never have too many pom poms. But in all seriousness, just showing up here, we're celebrating that you're seeking support. You're willing to provide your information, your experiences. You're willing to network. I'm seeing a lot of friendly faces. Also, welcome Lynn Robbins. I know there's at least one new person who said she was new. So, thank you for showing up and being part of making your professional development include this to get help. Ken, I've been loving your posts on. I sense you're trying to, you and Linda both, because you both post much more than I do. You're both balancing out the bad news, and here's what you can do, and here's what other people should be doing. And we can complain about this side and that side all we want. The the recruitment situation that you're facing is going to, it continues to be hard. And I don't know as much on the recruiter side, but I know that they're also under a lot of pressure. And Ken, you probably see some of that from the LHH stuff you were doing earlier. So I think we want to help you identify, as I always talk about, what you control, which is your side of the conversation and what you put out.
Hmm.
Use the chat box, not just LinkedIn comments and posts. Use the chat box to provide your expertise. Something that seems simple that I don't see people do all that much, although we've had a lot more engagement the last couple months in Lunch and Learn, Linda and Ken, is to say not just, oh, good point, Ken, but to say, Ken, you made a great point about, and then say about the fact that everybody's trying to get to an AI bot, having you talk to
Right,
an AI bot. I'm rephrasing that.
right.
And that way, someone who reads the chat and even the people who are in the meeting will see that and think, oh, and number one, it makes it seat in our brains. But number two, you become a person who's known for giving value to get value. And that's one way you can practice it. So, Lisa, thank you. Written by AI about AI. Yes, I just saw a complaint on LinkedIn in the guise of a post about all these people are telling us not to use AI in application, and then we apply, and it's AI in the questions, it's AI in the summary, it's AI interviews. They're all using it, and we all know that's happening. All right, Linda, let me thank you for going on, for my going on, and always great to be here with you and Ken.
Oh, no, I appreciate it very much because you covered a number of the things that I wanted to talk about today, which is the fact that it is a very strange job market out there. It's getting worse, not better. We are going to be talking about that and doing our crack crystal ball in a moment. But the fact that you're putting those comments in the chat is really important. Whether you're doing it in the chat and not just yay or this sounds great, right? But talking about what it is that you are commenting about. Whether you're commenting on LinkedIn on somebody's post, don't just do a yay. Okay, gee, this is great. Tell me what it is that's out there, what you're commenting about. It not only cements it in your brain, but it shares it with other people, helps to make you more of that expert. If you're talking about LinkedIn and here, it really is important for us to know what you're talking about, especially when we go back and take another look. Okay, I admit my memory isn't always that great these days. So when I'm looking at the chat, I don't always know what you're referring to. So I really want to hear that as well. Okay, we're going to start with some quick wins, and I'd like to do just a couple of quick wins. Um, you're right. Okay. The jobs that are being posted right now aren't necessarily, or the jobs that are available or may be available aren't the ones that are out there, but the ones that the companies are going to help you create. And that's true too. Okay. So let's do a couple of quick wins and then we'll move on to the topic. So if you have a quick win, if you're new, please raise your digital hand so that we can support you and bring you up on screen. Hi there, Raymond. Excuse me.
Hi. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to just tell a quick little story. Hopefully, it gives some folks some oxygen as they continue their search. I'll try to be brief. I call it a win. Going through the networking experience, meeting strangers. I'm in Chicago. I met someone, and then how can we help each other? I named a couple of companies, and specifically one that I've been targeting. I've actually applied to this company about 25 times, but I still feel like I'm the right person if I find the right role and the right recruiter. So effectively, I ended up getting a referral into the company, and last week spoke to the hiring manager. And I thought it was a great conversation. And I went into that conversation because I stumbled on this quote that says, "He who leads best leads with zest." So I came bringing a lot of energy, a lot of positivity. That being said, I got a note on Thursday from the recruiter saying you brought a lot of great energy. You had a lot of enthusiasm. We can see you have all these skills. However, you don't have specifics that we need for this role. But the hiring manager thought you might be a good fit for another position in one of his peers' groups and asked me if I would be interested in applying for that job. So I said yes. They sent me the application, which I submitted, and said that they would take my information and profile and send it to that hiring manager. So my hope is not only are they saying, take a look at this guy, but the notes that the hiring manager that I spoke to last week gets passed forward. Fingers crossed that he may have even reached out to her to let her know that he may have a candidate on her team. So I share all that. Like you just never know where opportunities are going to come. That's one of the first times that's happened. I hear that all the time. Well, you never know. Be polite, follow up, all this because they may have a different role in the organization, may want to get you on board. So I share that. Just keep plugging away and fingers crossed. So thanks for the
Fingers
time.
and toes. Thank you. Lisa. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Stacy.
Oh, that's okay. Um, so I did have an interview this morning. It was a screening interview. It went okay, I think, but I just want to tell you, it's kind of funny. I had jury duty yesterday, and when I got there, and this is my first time in Texas. I moved from Chicago a few years ago, and there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in this room, and they said we need, I don't know, 366 people. That means at most 66 people here are going to get out of jury duty and get in this line with your excuse form. So I filled out an excuse form and I got in line with, I counted well over 100 people. And one of the people in front of me said, "Oh, I have to get my kid off the school bus and I'm traveling next week for work." And he's like, "Don't care, go sit down." So I got up there and he read mine and then he looked at me and he said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, really, really. I have job interviews this week," which was a little bit of a fib because I had just the one, but whatever. I'm like, "Hey," I said kind of loudly, I said, "I have to watch my granddaughter." And he said, "You're not the primary caregiver." I said, "Define primary." And he said, "You don't know what it means?" I said, "I know what it means." I said, "I know exactly what it means." I said, "If I don't watch my granddaughter at 2:30 every day," I said, "her mother will join me in the unemployment fiasco of this world. And well, I guess we'll both live out in the parking lot here at the jury house." And I said, "I need to go to my interviews this week." So I said, "I'm happy to do jury duty. It's my duty. I will come back and do it another time." And he said, "Fine, Grandma, go right here and pick your date for when you're coming back for jury duty." I said, "Sounds great." I said, "I hope I have a job that I get to leave from to do my civil duty." And I turned
Very
around and looked at all the people that had been rejected that were sitting on the bench that I thought had really good reasons for being excused. And he told them, "Park it, like sit on the bench and not leaving." And I said, "I can't miss these. I've been unemployed for 11 months. I need a job."
right. The other thing that you did that was really good, and it's part of that following up after the interview kind of thing, the same idea. I am happy to do this at another time, which a lot of
Yeah,
people
I
don't do.
did. I told them I'm happy. I understand you need yours.
Yep.
I'm happy to do my civil duty. I want to do it. I just don't want to do it right now. And I said, I hope I have a job to leave in January so I can come back and I will see you in January.
Perfect.
So I thought that was at least kind of funny, but we'll see how this goes. So
We're rooting for the interviews.
thanks.
Jason.
Yeah, so I've been looking for my next full-time opportunity now for a year and a half. I've been very fortunate to have had a lot of opportunities to interview at different places, including one company that I've, as somebody else has mentioned on this call, interviewed at multiple times to no offer. But there is a company who called me yesterday to give their verbal offer, so I'm expecting the written offer later this week. So it's a great opportunity to lead a function at a business, and I'm looking forward to doing so. So
That's
I'll be
fantastic.
out. I'll be here still when I can, but I will be. It just feels great after a year and a half of pushing hard.
Absolutely.
To be
So
working again.
can you share with us how you found that opportunity?
So I was actually found. The recruiter at a third-party staffing firm found me and reached out, and I've learned, as I've mentioned in this call multiple times, um, I've learned a lot of things about third-party recruiters. Um, Also for my wife, who is in recruiting, but internal. And I was a little skeptical because I'd never heard of this third-party staffing firm before. But then through research, learned that they are one of many staffing firms under a larger staffing firm umbrella. So I kind of had some assurance in that regard. But the recruiter found me, reached out, and said we think you'd be a good fit. And I had a bunch of interviews, and it's actually a really interesting space, an industry I've never been into. So I think that that'll just be an additional challenge, but a good challenge.
Congratulations. Keep us posted.
So, thanks.
Denise.
Hi, everybody. My name is Denise Jackrow. I am a return to workforce who is under the guise of freelance work. I've been doing some freelance work. I was recently in being a personal assistant, and I host entertainment industry webinars. And I was recently elected to the board of directors of an organization called Ferocious Fighters that supports and advocates for families with a pain syndrome called CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome. It's a little known syndrome that affects the body globally. And I was successful in doing a lot of network on and off LinkedIn, getting some legal assistance for a parent whose daughter was what is called medically kidnapped. So she's a great parent. The ex-husband took the kid away, put them in a hospital, and it's a whole convoluted situation. I was able to get the lawyers that she needed and the parent advocates that she needed to move this process along. It's like, okay, I'm doing all of this. I'm hustling part-time. How do I monetize? I was down yesterday, I was down at Department of Aging where they have job developers and they're on overwhelmed. And then they're doing their own side hustle and then they're going for their own career advancements. And I've been on LinkedIn and I'm doing everything you're saying, Linda. I have to tell you, I have over 4,000 followers. As like the followers respond to me and I'm getting the hits, it's like, how do I monetize all?
It's tough. You're right. So yeah, that's, putting it out there, getting yourself,
I'm working election day, by the way, again, for the third time.
highly important to
Denise,
do.
did you ever reach out to a library to see
Yep.
if because libraries sometimes have a budget.
Okay, so you're talking for
For
A group,
assistance
for an
or
event, for a topic, whatever you
Right.
feel is relevant.
to run an event.
Right.
I did reach out to our local library, and at the time, like they're lucky, like the other library is they're lucky it still exists. But there is someone there that I get along with, so I will go back to them. And I have a friend, now that I think of it, I have a friend who works in the library, so I will definitely talk to her. But Ken, thank you for representing me to that.
Right. And a lot of presentations at libraries are pro bono. They're free, but
Doesn't
you make a lot
matter.
of contacts, and it can go from there.
And you can put that on your LinkedIn profile. You're now a presenter.
Exactly.
I've done it. I presented.
Good.
Okay.
Right. Exactly. All right.
Thank you.
Lynn.
Hi, my name is Lynn Robbins, and I'm a freelance writer. And my win is that I'm here today. I just found out about this group about a week ago, and I'm glad to be here. I'm looking into, right now I freelance write for local news organizations, and I'm interested in getting into grant writing. So I've explored a few grant writing courses online, the kind of introductory level type courses that are free. But I'm considering taking a grant writing course that would be more involved. And haven't made up my mind exactly, but I thought I would come here and see what other people are doing.
I'm glad. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let us know how we can help. Check out some of the courses on Coursera,
Okay,
Coursera on grant writing.
okay.
I might also do some networking with some people who have made that same switch from freelance or from other kinds of writing to grant writing, and ask them questions about how they did to prepare for their roles.
Oh, that would be great. That would be fantastic. That's exactly what I'm looking for, is to talk to people who have done this or are doing it. That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Absolutely. So that's the best thing. That's what I call informational networking. And that's the best kind of informational networking, where you're asking them about them, how they got there. And then often what will happen is not only will they give you that advice and support, the things that they did, but as you continue to build that relationship, they may be able to refer you or you can use their information for other things. So,
oh, thank you so much.
welcome to the group.
Okay.
Let us know how we can help.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hello, Sandra. Sorry, something. Can't even read my screen this morning. Chandra.
Hello. I did get a call from um a temp agency called Vault, and they were going to send my information for an opportunity for as a payroll clerk.
Good.
That's a quick win there.
That is a quick win. That's great. Is that something you've done before?
They said I haven't done payroll clerk before, but they said there's going to be some training.
Good. Okay. Volt is a legitimate organization, but make sure that the job opportunity they're offering you is legitimate.
Okay.
Okay, great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did they find you?
They found me through LinkedIn.
Okay. It's another way reminding people that you need to be active, you need to be out there, you need to have that full profile and all those skills. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello there.
Hello. Actually, my win this week was, after applying to many jobs, I made the decision to go back to freelance in video production. So, and events. So this week I added 4 days onto my calendar for work coming up. So, getting out there, meeting new people physically and virtually does help a lot. And knowing some people in the business, they're coming back to those that they knew. So I'm resurrecting my my freelance business. So, and it's working.
Good. Freelancing in what?
I'm a writer, producer, video production, and events. The gig work that I do helps out a friend. I do teleprompting as well. So
Excellent. Okay, add that to your LinkedIn profile, add it to your resume as consulting work, as contract work, whatever it is you want to call it. But it's another way of making your skills current and getting yourself back out there to other people.
right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Sure. Okay, so Lynn, did you not take your hand down?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
How do I do that?
So the same way you put it up, there should be one that says lower hand.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Anybody else have quick win or a question? So Denise, is yours new or is it also you haven't removed your hand? I can't tell.
My apologies.
That's okay. Okay.
Yeah, hi, Linda, it's Wade Farrell.
Uh-huh.
I just actually a former coworker of mine referred me to a position, and I have the interview next week. And then just to show the power of networking, I tried to network into this one company, and even though I didn't get a referral, I applied blindly, and I'm just in the process of responding to an email about an interview with that company. So, networking is very important. And sometimes it's not just for the A or the referral or endorsement or what have you. Sometimes it's just they'll just go talk to somebody and put a good word in for you.
Not only that, networking really helps. It's the same way that I just talked a minute ago about that informational networking. Networking helps you to learn more about the job and other people know about you. You don't know where that's ever going to come from. So I think it's a great way of reminding everybody that that's important. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Did we get our new person, Sue? Perfect.
But
All
I
right.
would, Lynn, we don't have your LinkedIn URL unless you added it and I missed it. So we'd like to be able to connect with you if you'll share your URL for us to connect with this new person.
Absolutely. So remember, please put your LinkedIn URL in the chat. Make sure it's a clickable link. We want to be able to quickly, easily find you. Okay. So congratulations to everybody with their quick wins. That's fantastic. But now what I want to do is I want to get into our our topic for the week. By the way, I am looking for new topics. I'll remind you again. Please let us know what works. And Lisa, thank you for letting me know that that breakout room last week really helped. It was a good thing. We'll try and do more of those. But let's talk a little bit about the state of the job market. Okay. And let's do I'm going to call it a cracked crystal ball because, like everything else, we can't really be certain about what's going on. We can tell you based on the research that we're doing, what we're seeing, and what's going on out there. So, Ken and Sue, would you like to share your perspectives, please?
Well, I've been having a lot of conversations with people in the AI space, and what seems to be missing is making the prompts that much more specific with what the questions are that are being asked. And that's where a lot of people have the writing background can really enter into it. Most companies don't realize they need that until you find out what they're looking for. I recommend going into a place like ChatGPT, asking a question, seeing what the response comes back at, and then seeing how you can improve the response. Because as I posted before, a lot of the jobs that are being going to be out there have not been posted yet because most companies don't realize they need them. So I think it's up to each of you to figure out what your skills are that can be transferred to something else. I mean, project management is a very general title, and anyone can be a project manager. What can you specifically do as a project manager? What companies do you want to work for? I mean, I joked about this at PMI. Everyone wants to work at Google and Meta and all those and Amazon. Well, you've got to be a little more specific. And if you're not sure where to start, go online, look for the top 50 small businesses or small companies within your state and start building relationships that way. I mean, those are just some of the things I would recommend.
Absolutely. Sue.
I was pleased to see the other day, and I can't remember who posted it, someone who posted that if you are expecting to get a job, you need to start showing how you're actually using AI and specific tools. And I've been talking about this for a few months in the groups that I work with, because the people that I work with say, well, it's just another tool. So how do I really describe it? And people who have businesses say, if I tell them I'm more efficient by using this, they're going to give me less work, like 4 days instead of 5. But I think what we're hearing, and this tags on to what Ken just said, is there is an art to using the tool to get it to do the brainstorming, the figure out what you're leaving out of something you're writing, or in project management, for example, making sure that you've got a coordinated approach to, for example, timekeeping or whatever as you're bringing new people on. So I've started collecting examples. I have a few that I've written up about how you can show it on your resume, but I think we need to start using these opportunities of this group and others to show sample scripts for here's how it could look, and here's what you'd answer in an interview. Because as I said, I was really pleased that people are finally seeing the role of this as a tool. We wouldn't hire someone who says they know how to use Salesforce without testing them a little bit in an interview, and to have an example maybe on their resume of how they've used it to achieve a goal. So I think we need to give that same consideration to AI, and for those who are using it to do their professional development, job application materials, start using it for other things so that you can test out where are the limits of what you could do with it, thinking about job characteristics. And Ken already said, there
Yeah,
are going to be new roles. So just one
right.
more thing, Ken. Remember, 2 years ago, there were all these jobs out for prompt engineers because no one knew how to write prompts. Well, it turns out a lot of us, and I will say those of us who are old, not as old as me, but the older folks, all of us here, we grew up learning how to ask questions to get at details that weren't available by Googling it on your phone. So think about how you're using it in a process way, organized process, and how you can make it repeatable for efficiencies and improvements. All right, I will get off my soapbox.
I'm
Thanks.
just
Go
going to,
ahead,
a
Ken.
funny story from many, many years ago. I was brought into a company to develop a social media policy. And this goes back to Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. People are going to need now governance. What is going to be the role of governance in AI? As a project manager, you know what the rules and regs are. They're going to need people to know what can we do, what can't we do, and why can't we do it. And that's going to be a positioning thing. That's going to be one of those future jobs.
I
It's social
agree.
media on steroids, if you will.
Yep. And I think that one of the other jobs that's going to be coming down the line, companies are beginning to know more that you can use those AI prompts, and that's important. But they want to know how you then incorporate that into the role and into the work. It's being called now AI enablement. It's different than AI prompting. Okay. AI prompting is learning how to include that, how to ask the questions. Enablement is, okay, now that you've asked the questions, what now? One of the things I'm hearing from HR managers, talent managers, is that while knowing AI is important, when I get into the interview, I'm going to ask you how you use AI. Okay. I don't necessarily need to see it on the resume. I want to see AI knowledge, AI, whatever, something there. I want to see the coursework so that you've got it. But I want to make sure that when you're talking to me in an interview, you're not just feeding back prompts from AI. I want to make sure that you're taking that information from AI and showing me how you are then using that to further your job. So be prepared for some of those kinds of questions. And we're hearing, unfortunately, too many people who are, AI is a great tool for getting some ideas in terms of interview prep, Lisa, you're absolutely right. But we're seeing people who are trying to read their AI information from the interview prep that they did, or parrot it back because they've memorized it, and they're not getting the jobs because it's not really them. So remember, AI is your research tool. It's a great thing for learning, but everything has to be in your voice. And when you're talking about answering those questions, In an interview, they want to hear about how you're using it, not just that you've used it to generate the information. Okay, so now what? You have to be able to answer the now what. You have to be able to answer the where am I using it? How am I using it? What benefit does it have for you? And why am I better at doing that? What do I bring to that in addition to the AI that makes me the better enabler? Okay, that better implementer of that tool. Yes, Jason.
Just real quick on the use of AI from what you three have mentioned, and in regards to interviewing and everything. This verbal offer I just received, and we've talked about this, Linda, in your calls multiple times, how some a part of the process in interviewing for some companies is asking a prospective candidate or candidate to do an assignment, paid or unpaid. We've talked about it. We don't have to rehash it, but I will just put this out there. It's only one company. I'm only one person. But this verbal offer I received, this is one of those scenarios. I was asked to, after the first round interview, to do quote unquote an assessment. I used AI to do it, but I didn't copy and paste. It was using it for different AI tools. There's a feature called deep research, and it'll search through hundreds or thousands of websites online. It'll look for patterns. It'll give you, based on your prompt, a bunch of data. I used that result, made it my own, did my own research on top of that deep research, and created a document. Yeah, I didn't get paid for it, but my gut feeling initially for this opportunity was it was a positive feeling. So I thought this may be worth my time. So I did use deep research functionality in AI combined with my own individual custom time-based research to put together something. I sent it as a PDF, and I do think that helped. Again, I think we've had this conversation many times, but I think that it's important that in addition to using AI as a tool and not using it as a copy and paste functionality, I think it's important to learn the technology of individual tools within the AI tool as a whole. So deep research, Canvas, video production, image asset creation. So I think there's a general topic, AI comes up in earnings calls and on this call and everywhere. But that's the general aspect of this technology that we all have been introduced to. Understanding it at a much deeper level is, I think, where the skill sets, where companies want individuals. They want people to be able to use the tech at a very, very deep level, not at a basic prompting level, to understand how to be more effective in their role. So just a thought, putting out there, right or wrong. But for me personally, for this opportunity, I was iffy on doing an unpaid assignment, and it turned out, but I used AI, but not as a copy and paste, because you don't want to plagiarize anything. So
right. It's not just that you don't want to plagiarize everything. You want to make sure that it really is you, that you can do everything that they're saying. Okay. AI is great for research, and I really encourage people to use it for research. And there are lots of AI tools out there, and maybe we'll do a conversation at some point about which AI tools are better for which things and how best to use them. But the idea is it's that research. If you can't speak to it and how you would use it, how you would implement it, what it means, then using that AI tool is not going to help you much. Okay, in the long run.
Yeah,
Hi
thanks,
there.
Linda. Yeah, I just wanted to add a quick note on that. He was doing deep research in one of the AI tools. What I found to be very effective is if you're using the one tool, cross-reference your search against other AI tools. Because I've done that just to verify what it says, because that gets you closer to okay, this is legitimate. Then you can do a deep dive rather than being taken on a rabbit trail. And then just as a final check, I always go to the Google's AI tool because that's free and that will just continue in perpetuity. Put it in there and take a deep dive and see what Google tells you, because their response is very, very fast and they will typically corroborate what you found with your initial search tool. But that's just to get you the foundation, but it still requires you to go in and look at all the research that it's been sourcing for you to verify that what it's found is accurate. Because at the end of the day, you have to speak to the knowledge that's in your article or what you've written. And if you say, well, that's something that the AI tool found for me and you hadn't checked it, then that just leaves you in a bad spot. So if you own the material, then you can speak to it and you don't have to worry about AI because you've already done that research.
And that's a great way of phrasing it. You have to own what you're saying. Okay. Whatever AI is putting out there, it's when you're putting it out to the universe, when you're putting it out on LinkedIn, you're doing it in your interview prep, when you're talking to a company, when you're on the job, you have to own that material. You have to know how to use it. You have to know what it means, and you have to know how you're implementing it and why. That why is one of the things we forget. Great idea. Great suggestion. Other questions on this happen. So one of the things Ken alluded to when we first started in terms of that cracked crystal ball idea is that the job market seems to be getting worse. Okay. We know that while there are jobs out there that people haven't figured out yet, companies haven't figured out yet, we also know that layoffs are growing, unfortunately. Okay. Between all of the big companies that are talking about it, and the layoffs seem to be growing, at least cracked crystal ball, in several different areas. We know that it's harder for entry-level people to get the jobs. Okay. And entry level is now looking for 3 to 5 years. Right? Misnomer to begin with. But the volunteer work that you do, the project work that you've done, the classes that you've taken all count. Contract work counts. And even if it says volunteer, if it says 3 to 5 years of experience for an entry-level job and you can show what you've been doing, do it anyway. Apply anyway. Just make sure that you're showing what they're looking for. Remember, companies are often looking for unicorns. But we're finding it's not just those entry-level jobs that are being hit right now. One of the things that we've just noticed is that it's the middle-level jobs that are also being hit in this last round of layoffs. Meta, Amazon, UPS, all announced major layoffs, and many of those are coming from the ranks of the not just middle managers, but the professionals with the 5 to 10 years worth of experience. There is cracked crystal ball, and sorry about this, but I'm not seeing any rhyme or reason at this point for which areas that they're targeting. I wish I could say that there was a pattern. I'm not seeing it. Sue, are you?
Well, I was just thinking back to about 8 or 9 months ago. I do a quarterly update on work trends that are and
Right.
what's changing. And there was a prediction, and this was before a year ago when AI started getting really good. They were talking about the first level where they're seeing fewer hiring requests are for mid-level managers. And there was a big discussion with the global talent folks led by Hung Lee on senior executives managing very junior people. Now we're going to see junior people being supplanted by some version of AI. So who's going to be there doing the work? But I think the more important thing is that strategically companies aren't articulating how they're going to get this work done without the person. You need the leadership at the very top, but you need people who can make sure people are enabled and helped to do their job. So I'm discouraged to see those jobs disappearing. At the same time, when people are announcing jobs, and I have seen probably 1 to 2 a day for the last few weeks, they are more mid-level jobs. Now, I'm not saying they're mid-level managers, they may be mid-level technical people, but I think it's, I just heard about the stats of 30,000 being laid off on Amazon this morning, so I didn't look to see if there's an analysis of how they're breaking out. I thought it said out of the corporate office, but again, I don't know at what level. So we may be beginning to see a very significant change in how we usually describe employee hierarchies, right? Junior people, mid-level people, senior people. Maybe it'll be much more, I don't think we'll ever see a big company do a flat hierarchy, but it'll be less strategic of this level, and this level. That's my cracked crystal ball.
No, I agree. And I think one of the things that means is we'd heard earlier this year about this being the year of flat hires and people staying on board and companies not making the moves and hiring, and they're being very strategic, we think, in terms of what they're hiring for right now. I wish they would be as strategic in terms of the positions they're eliminating, but that's not happening right now. I think they're more numbers oriented. But one of the things that I think we need to be aware of is that regardless of what the job title is, okay, you need to be aware of the work that you need to be doing and how you demonstrate that you can do that work. It's not just enough to say, some of these management jobs are managing a function, not necessarily managing people. And so they're manage and do, it's not just manage. You need to be able to really do a deep dive, not just in terms of the job title, but what is it that that job is really looking for to see how you present yourself. Okay.
I love that, Linda. I think that's a critical point that we probably haven't all been talking about enough in terms of understanding how job postings don't represent well what the job may be.
Right. And part of that is doing your informational networking again, or looking at the rest of the company to see what kinds of jobs are still there. Okay. What people are doing. And if you find somebody who's just taken a job, here's a great opportunity for you. And I'm going to put a post out for this probably next week. But think about it. Yes, people are still getting jobs. They're still announcing them, and that's great. When they leave, that means that there may be an opening at their old company. It's also a way of finding out from them not only how they got that job, but also what they did, what they found out about that role, what's important for somebody else to know, either for that company or for other companies. You've got lots of opportunities, and people, once they've taken that new job, they're more willing to share too, because they're excited about what they did. And so if you talk in your head, think about that paying forward, but you're congratulating them. You're building on that, and that's something that really helps. So build those conversations. Don't just say congratulations on the new job. Ask them a question as part of it. Okay. Or do that networking afterwards. So
I was just going to answer or give a comment on David Mills' comment about the cream of the crop getting jobs, but not for average folks. And I think that we need to remind ourselves, and I happened to see a couple posts on this. I actually saw this in the literature, in more of the mainstream industry literature, a few couple months ago, I think. People who are getting hired are not necessarily the smartest, are not necessarily the wealthiest connections. They are the people who can articulate well, who can say well how you can bring your evidence forward, your results forward. And you know, I've talked about evidence-based results for years. I want you to think about, are you conveying the value you bring? But not I'm an excellent communicator, but rather I present briefings to clients as well as to our internal team on feedback we're getting from marketing or whatever it is. There are ways that you can talk about it that will be more compelling. I can't address, David, whether the average number of the jobs for what you consider average folk are decreasing or not. I know what you've converted to because I've known you since a long time ago, that you do a lot on data related stuff. We know that as of a year ago, a lot of that disappeared with AI. So I'm just saying to you, always examine, and I would use not your friends, not your family, use people from this group, use people who are in other job seeker groups, and get together and have real, two of you, three of you, have real good discussions about what you're putting in your resume. Can you reword it this way? Think about whether or not you'd answer this, because that's going to be the ground truthing you all need and can benefit from. Yes, ChatGPT, all the GPTs can help you. Yes, Linda can help you. I love Linda dearly. I send anybody who asks me for interview stuff to you. But your friends here can really help say, I don't hear you telling me what you actually bring. It's not enough to tell me you know how to use Salesforce. Tell me what you've achieved with it.
right. What have you done with it?
Exactly.
Okay, so one of the things that I've seen you do, David, is you post some occasional, here's a project, here's something that I've done, and that's a good thing. But when you're doing your resume, when you're doing the rest of it, when you're posting on LinkedIn, by the way, those projects you can add to your LinkedIn profile as under projects. But for data analysis, as an example, it's not just putting the numbers together, it's turning those numbers into actionable ideas that somebody else can then implement. Today's job market, more than anything else, is not about you. Sorry about that. It's about what you can do for someone else. And the more you can make your resume, your posts, your comments, your interviews about what you bring to them rather than what you want, that talking about those accomplishments, what their problems are and how you solve them in terms of other things that you've done, making that kind of transferability, that's what's going to get your job. That's what's going to get your foot in the door. That's what's going to get you the job offer. So that's one of the things that I think we need to start focusing in on again. Okay, and I know
So
that's
I've had extensive conversations with Gemini, artificial intelligence, gone back and forth and got my resume in pretty good shape. At least AI tells me it's in pretty good shape, but maybe that's not
no,
enough.
no, it's not.
They're not the right audience.
Okay.
No, don't use ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity to say, hey, this resume is great. It's got to be you. They're going to give you some ideas, but remember, you're not the only one asking ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, or Gemini about your resume. So that resume that you're getting is going to be very similar to other resumes that are going to be coming out from other people who have those same things. You aren't the generic. You don't want to be the generic. You need to be you.
They've also, sorry to jump in, Linda, they've also done several recent studies where they found any of the AI engines tend to flatter and are actually relatively effusive about praising you for what might be dumb or bad or poorly made choices or mistakes about things because it wants you to like it. And the way it likes it is by not being completely honest with you, but by telling you, oh, I hadn't thought of that, but it doesn't really apply here, instead of saying, why are you concerned about golf courses if you're trying to figure out what time the football game is? Like, there's no correlation. It should just say that's an irrelevant question, but instead, oh, I didn't think about that or whatever. And so be careful that I was actually looking for one of those studies that I've seen, but it's a big problem with AI that it's been programmed to want you to like it. And
Yes.
so it's very nice to you when it shouldn't be.
And so may I ask a favor? When you find one of those studies, add it to our private group.
Yeah, I should.
Yep,
Okay.
will do.
Because that's another way of looking at it.
Sorry, I'm just going to add one more thing because I have to get off for another meeting. But the other thing that I see all of you do occasionally or all the time is you're all taking courses, and that's great. But a course just shows you've learned something. You need to show how you apply it. Now, you don't always get off a course and have a real world example to apply it to. If you look at a learning continuum, you get knowledge, then you have a skill. The skill is something you practice in a practice setting. Then you get real world experience validated. Here's what you can do between the real world experience and the project. Certainly in your home work you're doing. A lot of you, I call you the unexpectedly self-employed. You're having to run your own businesses. Learned more Excel skills? Tell me about how budgeting saved you money. Tell me about how you were able to use experience in programming to help a local nonprofit do something with their files. Try to put as much evidence-based using the app, applying the information that you've gotten. So I'm now not actually commenting on anybody's certificates, because if I do, I say, tell me how you applied it. And I know I'm probably turning some people off. But that's how you build what Ken has called for 2 years now, and Linda and I support a portfolio career that you can show you can bring experience into different ways. So it's not linear, like I learned this, then I did this. Think about the things that you're bringing together as you're unexpectedly self-employed, running your own business, and how those become business tools. Okay, it's a soapbox and one I'm about to talk about in mentor time in a few weeks.
So here's the other thing, is that I have still continued to comment on your certificates, but for the most part, unless I get into my rut, hey, that's great, another great tool to add yours. What I want to know is when you're taking that class, what did you learn? Give me one thing that you hadn't thought about before. How are you planning to use it? Absolutely. It's an important thing to do because that helps make you stand out. It's like, otherwise it's people just saying, hey, yay, that's great. So any tool that you're taking, anything that you're learning needs to be something that you can then apply in another way. Thank you, Sue, for all your help. Okay. All right. So gonna add another couple of things. I saw some people saying that yes, they would like us to do a session maybe where we're reviewing each other's resumes in small groups, individual pieces. So we're going to do that. Probably not until December, but we'll find a way of putting it in. Okay. I want to share an idea here. There's an organization called iRelaunch. For those of you who've been out of work for a while, iRelaunch is a group that helps put together companies that are willing to bring, I shouldn't say willing, that are supporting bringing back people for internships for grown-ups. It's a way of learning new skills. It's a way of getting support and mentorship. It's a way of getting that feedback and support from within a company because they give you some of the training and the tools and hand-holding as well. Unfortunately, we're seeing fewer companies doing that right now. There are a lot of people who are looking at those jobs, but one of the reasons that I suggest you might want to consider this this conference is that you'll hear from some of the companies about what they're looking for in people who are returning to the workplace. Even if they don't have a returnship that is appropriate for you, you'll know some of those companies that are encouraging people to come back to work and providing that support. So they're companies that are worth following, if nothing else, to see what their organizations are all about. So if you're thinking about it, some of those target companies, here's another way to find some. So it's another way of trying to add some of those. What else did I want to say? Oh, all right. I know that people are starting to leave, and that's okay. It's our time frame. But before we leave, okay, and I'm willing to stay on for another 20 minutes. If you have ideas for new programs, you need to tell me what you want to do. Right now, we have several already set for this month. We still have one open. Okay, on November 12th, I don't have a topic yet. I'm looking for you all to tell me what we should do. I specifically left that open for us to find out what it is you want. Next week, we're going to be doing an open Q&A. Any topic available, anything you want. Survival jobs. Thank you, Michael. Week after, on the 18th, 19th, okay, it's going to be a roundtable discussion, which means you all are going to lead it. I'll help facilitate it and give you my ideas as well. And so will Ken and Sue if they're going to be here. I'm sorry, it's .org. I think. I put in the link, Jonathan, to the conversation, to the conference, but that should at least get you to their website and other things. Okay, it's .com. So we're going to do that. But on the 19th, that roundtable discussion is going to be, how do you track what you're doing? We all know that networking is important. We know the outreach is important. We know that if you've applied for a job, you want to do some follow-up. What are you using to track that, to build your pipeline? What tools are you using? And we're going to use that as that conversational starter. We may go beyond that and talk about note taking and keeping track of things and setting up your calendars, but it's an important kind of thing. Okay, for us to do. So I need you all here to share your ideas, to share what you do, to share your questions. And then on the 27th, which is the day before Thanksgiving, okay, I know a lot of people won't be here, but for those of you who are, it's our way of saying, okay, what do you do to give back? Your attitude of gratitude is really important. Your attitude affects what you do, how people see you, what you do. And it's just our chance of trying to share and pay it forward a little bit, as well as talking about how attitude affects job search and career search. And because you're all going to be with family, or many of us, not all of us, we're not actually doing our Thanksgiving until Saturday. But for those people who are able to spend some time with family, sometimes they're going to ask you, what are you doing? And so we may give you some ideas about how you answer those questions as well, because those can be awkward. So that's what we're going to do. But I'm looking for specific ideas about what you want to see not only on the 12th, okay? You can either add them here, you can add them in private messaging, you can add them in, don't add them in, you can add them in the group, I'll take a look as well. Or you can PM me, you can email me. Excuse me, okay, yeah. It's not just for this month, but I'm planning now for December, January, and beyond. Okay, but we do want to make sure that all of these work. For those of you who are leaving, I want to remind you that you want to copy the chat, and I will put it in the private group. Sometimes the links in the private group are active, sometimes they're not. I do my best, but the LinkedIn gods are the ones who handle that. But I will put it there. If you want to copy the chat yourself, there are two ways. Go up to the top of the screen where it says Career Search Lunch and Learn. There are 3 dots. Click on that. Okay, and it'll say File Save. You can also click anywhere into the chat, do a Control A, Control C. I'm going to turn off the recording. Maybe. Okay, and then we'll go from there. But as I said, I'm happy to stay on for another couple of minutes.